Ma me fana say ma PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo.
Ebedrum pempensuo bi ma JJ Rawlings gitu mu say. Sebio Ghana edrum pempensuo bi a ye nyina abegya tum say eye soldier aban or military rule no. It is no more used to Ghanaians. And that we need to move into the democratic dispensation. Ni nyina say e wo say ye den ye to aba na ye yi nipa obedi enim. Now remember, time at JJ Rawlings ebedi Ghana is not very young. There was this idea be a nipa be created to Ghana for team any title Ghana for no more abruchi team any title a year a wiase say JJ Rawlings or your military leader no. Even when he switches to democratic state, and I say, or switches to democracy, say, Yebetwaba, a president, JJ Rawlings, he should never be separated from his past. It's when JJ even, at the time, there were a lot of leaders of Africa, military leaders, you know, the same time, I know be the pressure, JJ Rawlings saw the need to say, democracy was important to help a country develop. So JJ Rawlings at that moment, you know, he had all the right to say no. He could have said no. He could have said, say, on penny. He could have said, say, on chin, or better, JJ Rawlings, the military rule, because the same time, now call Abachamo, Nigeria, and other, no money, so Eddie. Now, your other African countries are almost so almost so leaders, military leaders. They were all there. JJ Rawlings would have looked at those people and said no. Because Michelle other places almost so all military rulers. But JJ Rawlings at a point said no. The country needed to come together. Inti yen nyina ye mesia na yen tro constitution na yen to aba. Ye to aba na megina de obawini no owini a yemfa president manindi. 1992 NPP did not contest 1992 NPP contested the election, the general elections. I need to correct this. Edubuahin contested. In fact, they separated the parliamentary from the presidential. So the miscommunication was that almost separating parliamentary from presidential. NPP contested in the presidential. They did not contest in the parliamentary. We need to correct this. It is our shared results now. 1992, Hillary Liman, PNC, Albert Edubuahin, NPP, also running for presidential, and Jerry John Rawlings, Eranima, NDC. It will share popular votes in JJ have 2.3 million, Edubuahin 1.2 million, and Hillary Liman, a year 266,000. So that's the correction. 1992 NPP contested in only presidential. They did not contest in the parliamentary. 1992 the NPP contested in presidential. They did not contest in the parliamentary because they boycotted the parliamentary. I think they didn't get enough people to contest the parliamentary, but they were very sure of winning the presidential. Edubuahin contested Jerry John Rawlings in 1992, and then Hillary Limantu was on the ballot. Now, JJ Rawlings winning election 1992 elections. That's the first election in Ghana. NDC 189 seats, NCP 8 seats, Eagle 1 seat, Independent 2 seats. So 93, this was how Parliament looked. You call 1992 elections, this was how Parliament looked. There was no NPP in Parliament. Now, when JJ Rawlings won the elections, in the history of Ghana politics, President was struggle pa in his 8-year term, JJ Rawlings, and I'm talking about a democratic president was struggle pa. The reason was that time JJ Rawlings win elections, all the people who had issues with JJ Rawlings, journalists, the Kwekubakus, Omo Makani nyina, Akuffo Addo wemu nyina, Omo newspaper na ewo the Statesman, the tabloids, all those people started printing or writing things about JJ Rawlings. Even though JJ Rawlings had moved from a military rule to a democratically elected rule, as say is a president, they were still throwing red meat into the system. Majority of the Western media, they still saw JJ Rawlings as a military leader. The NPP people who were able to move out of the country to settle in the UK, to settle in Europe, to settle in America, no, their work was simple. Every day to be writing articles and making sure that JJ Rawlings, who has been elected as a president, democratically elected president of Ghana, no, they painted a picture to the Western world to say, even though JJ in front of your eyes, you know, he has been elected democratically, you know, but when you go to Ghana, he is still a junta, he is still a military ruler. So when they started doing that, and internally and outside, you know, you saw people like Akuffo Addo, the Chronicles newspaper. There were a lot of those people in the system. They were still polluting the system inside and polluting the system outside. Now, it was so difficult for JJ Rawlings to fight these things because those times, you know, the Western world, they were relying on the media to assess governments. So you realize in 1992, time JJ Rawlings be a president, you know, it was so difficult for JJ Rawlings to secure loans. He sometimes traveled out, but the most difficult thing for him was to secure loans to support Ghana's economy. If we say the Westerners and the Americans, they saw Rawlings as a military ruler because the things they were reading, from the Akuffo Addo and the MPP4, they were writing articles to let it look like, even though you see Ghana as a democratic country, when you go to Ghana, people are still pulling guns and killing people in their homes. JJ Rawlings was stifling people. JJ Rawlings was killing people every day. So it became difficult for the JJ Rawlings administration to do what? To go out there and seek support. Remember, 1979 to 1983-84, that was the most difficult part in Ghana's history. From 79 to 1990, it was the most difficult time in Ghana's history because that time, you know, Ghana did not get any kind of support from outside. So everything that was running this country was internally generated. Until JJ became president, you know, it became more tougher because now Ghanaians were expecting a lot from JJ Rawlings. You are now a president. We see you go to Washington, you see a American president, you go to the UK, you meet the Queen, you go to Belgium. They are seeing him go out, but JJ Rawlings always came home with no money. The reason was that the Western world were not willing to give JJ Rawlings support because of the tabloid coverage they were seeing. Na NPP4 more Bruche, more Germany, more UK, more America. They were letting the Westerners believe, say, even though the guy has been president for a year, 2, 3, 4, democratically, he is not democratic. So JJ did not know what to do. JJ struggled to put Ghana's economy together. The same time, we saw Akuffo Addo, we saw these chronicles, we saw these newspapers. Every single day, the reportage on the president of the republic and the government was bad. If I'm an economist, if I am an investor, if I am IMF, if I am World Bank, I will never put my money in a country whereby its own tabloids, its own journalists are telling the world that this country, you see it as a democratic country, but it is not. And what makes it more easy for people to believe that is because JJ Rawlings, the background, a military background, even though he has sincerely decided to open up a democracy for all of us to join, his background as a military man, it was easy for people to malign Rawlings that he has not fully given power. He has not fully allowed democracy to roll in Ghana.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.